Hello everyone and welcome back to the IESF qualifiers. We're here in Europe and we're doing the Counter-Strike 2 women's qualifiers today. We're kicking them off anyway. It's a multi-day affair because there's a lot of very exciting teams, and it'll be myself, Lucy, and Nerikai taking you through the action.
I'm glad to be back. I'm looking forward to it. It should be really good. Whenever we cast together, Lucy, we get some of the Counter-Strike games of all time. Whether they're good or bad, we can't really comment on that just yet. But I'm expecting today should be a little bit of a banger. We've got some pretty cool ones lined up, some big teams competing, big names in the server, so we should get some pretty sick games. So that's exactly what we want. Let's take a look at the schedule. Let's take a look where we're going to be heading for all of today's actions. We've got plenty of games as well. It's all best of ones for the first few days. And yeah, as you can see, some pretty big teams here.
Yeah, kicking off with Sweden versus Denmark. So a bit of a regional rivalry to get it started. Poland versus Serbia. That will be an exciting one to see if you know who that Poland team is. Sweden will be back again on our screens versus Portugal. Another very stacked lineup. And then Romania, which might feature the best women's player in the world on that team, versus Iceland, who I'm excited to see. And then Bulgaria, who has a few old faces returning to the server versus Slovenia. So Slovakia, sorry. So some very exciting games coming up.
Yes, it should be pretty cool. We got some kind of titan names. There's a lot of teams, obviously, who represent some of the big organizations coming in towards the field. This is what we want to see. And, you know, even when we did a little bit of the Asian side of things, there were some new names that surprised us. And we're kind of hoping for more of the same here. While there is some old faces, some, like you said, arguably the best players in the world as well, right? We do want to see maybe whether some of these new names can surprise us too. Like you said, we're kickstarting things, though, with this Scandinavian derby. Sweden taking on Denmark. It's a CS rivalry that goes back all the way to the start of Counter-Strike, and one that is going to continue ever more today.
Yep, and for both these teams, they have a history here at IESF as well, with Sweden coming second last time we had the European qualifiers, and Denmark tying up third, fourth alongside France. So two of the strongest teams, I would say, that we have present in this event. And considering Team Netherlands was the team that came first, to obviously automatically get the invite to the World Championship at the end of the year, so they don't need to play in this qualifier. They're already through. Sweden and Denmark, you look at them as two of the favorites to be joining them in Riyadh at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the big thing. Of course, the way this format will sort of work, it's best of ones and into the playoffs and best of threes from there. And of course, plenty of qualification spots on the line, which is the main thing. If I'm right in saying, Lucy, 6 spots available, of course, with the 7th being that one that Netherlands have already kind of locked under play. So a lot of opportunities for some of these teams to make it to Riyadh, which is ultimately what we want.
Yeah, and it's all best of ones today and tomorrow as well. And it's not just the games we've got on stream. There's some games going on off stream as well, so there's a lot of Counter-Strike action. But we can take a look at this first game and our first team. We'll bring up the roster lineup for Sweden, which is a lot of very familiar faces on here, right? So we're kicking it off with the duo that's done it all, with Giuliano and Zaz, who are going to be back reunited after being split up in their official capacities on their teams, and now they're back together in the server. So a dynamic duo, and then rounded out by a collection of players that, if you've been in touch with the women's scene, you probably know a few of these names. But Emsan plays for Enzafina. Nia was previously on Guild before they disbanded, and then Yankin, obviously, from NIP, who very recently has left that roster as Vilga has come in, who's it's one of those situations where if Vilga joins the team, I mean, what can you do?
It's kind of one of those, you just got to say fair enough, right? You know, one of the more experienced women in the scene who's won basically it all for a long, long time. So fair enough, you kind of hate to say. We'll take a look at Denmark on the other side. And again, a few names here which should be recognizable for those who follow kind of the women's scene. But I would actually say, I don't know if you'd agree here, there's a couple more newer faces, or I guess younger names coming in towards this roster compared to the experience of Sweden. So this is going to be a kind of a cool matchup where it's experience versus kind of youthfulness. And maybe that expression for Denmark might work in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, all these players have had their kind of time in the ESL Impact circuit, so at least they've had that. But in terms of like the LAN experience, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at Ramzan, I guess, is the most experienced player on this roster in terms of actual achievements, so to speak. And I imagine she'll be IGLing and AWPing on this squad when you look at the rest of the team. But then we've got a core of players that have been playing together for basically a year, although recently there's been some changes in the Astralis camp. So Ismo and Maria are still part of that Astralis women's core. I don't know if they've actually announced what their new roster looks like yet, but those two players, I believe, were the two that stayed on with that team. Anya was also part of that team before being benched, and then KitKat again is the team player that comes from that guild roster, and you'll see these guild players across all of the teams. They're basically spread out amongst all their national teams here. So there's going to be a lot of different rivalries or teammates going up against former teammates playing out in this tournament.
And that's the cool thing, because there's former teammates playing against each other, they'll sort of understand how they like to play, what the mental state is, what their kind of defaults are, what their sort of strategies, and these sort of things can actually make these kind of games quite interesting. Sometimes when you see these sort of mixes that come through, they may be just fundamentally quite puggy. In this instance, I don't think it's going to be the case. There's a lot of strategic depth there. They're going to understand how each other like to call, how they like to play, and because basically Denmark and Sweden just know each other so well, no matter what scene you're in, what game you're in, they are rivals but also kind of family in a way, right? They know each other, they play together all the time. It's just a common thing. They're going to know everything about it, all these little nuances coming through, so it makes these sort of matchups all the more exciting.
I think what's going to be interesting with Denmark is that you've got a core of players that have been playing together for ages, and none of them is the ideal, right? So Rams is going to come in and be calling for a completely different core. So it's like, are you going to be integrating the ideas that they're already kind of bringing on board, or are you going to just bring your game plan that you normally play with your team, right? That's the kind of two different approaches we'll see. It really depends how much time they've had to kind of workshop coming into this, but you imagine, given we're at the tail end of the player break, they probably had a few, minutes to get some reps in the server. But for Sweden, I think it'll be very clear that it's going to be Giuliano's game plan, because it's been Giuliano's game plan forever and it always seems to work.
Yes, exactly. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I think is the main thing. Before we look at the Vita though, Lucy, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit here. Where are you leaning in this one? Is there only a best of one? So there's potential for upsets, there's potential for things just to go wrong, but where are you leaning before we get to the Vita?
I think both these teams kind of have the opportunity to take us away from the standard best of ones best of one maps that we see. So I think there is a chance that we could push it to something more interesting like an Anubis, but I think we're probably not going to see Nuke and Vertigo. They're always banned first. I think, it's most likely in my eyes Ancient or Anubis. It could be a Mirage coming through. That's definitely been a late adoption for some of these teams, but I think one of those two maps is more likely.
Yeah, I can say as well from the Open tournament, having done that for the last kind of 4 or 5 days now, Anubis or Ancient was picked in every single series, whether it was a best of one or a best of three. One of those two maps was guaranteed every single time. And in particular, Anubis has become this, especially in best of ones, this pugging kind of default where you can call it a pretty strategically heavy game on it, but there are also a lot of teams who are more than happy just to play this in kind of your individualistic manner, which is just backing yourself, taking fights, hoping that individuals can step up, get 2-3 kills, crack open a site, that sort of thing. So Anubis is one of those maps, and because it's statistically the only map that you can actually consider T-sided, that does lend hands to these slightly more mixier sides. So I am looking at it in that sense, but I think you're right. I don't think we'll see a Vertigo. Vertigo seems to be getting first wave banned basically every single time. Nuke seems to always be in that second wave ban, which you kind of hate to see. Another one that seems to be getting banned a hell of a lot, at least from what I've seen from the Open tournament, was Inferno. Inferno seems to become very unpopular these days.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see it here. In terms of the Astralis team, because I think that's the easiest one to go off the kind of stats of because of the core, right? Inferno has not been a particularly popular map for them as of late. I think Ancient was always their kind of comfort ground last year, and then it moved more towards Vertigo, but we won't see Vertigo. That'll definitely be banned. So that's why I'm thinking Anubis is kind of like a middle ground between these two teams is a likely situation. And Bigger Keeper were playing a lot of Mirage, so it's not impossible that it comes through, but if I am Denmark, I probably ban that so that you try and push a team that has a lot of very strong individuals into a map where they have to coordinate a lot more.
Sure.
Even though Giuliano and Zaz have that long history together, the rest of them don't. Whereas you have that kind of advantage on Denmark's side.
Fair enough. And Dust 2, you reckon Dust 2 is just not something that either of these sides are going to be...
Okay. But again, I don't think I ever saw the Astralis women's team play it. So I'd be very surprised. Oh, well, anyway, we can bring out the video. It's ready. So we can see if all my theorizing has any bearing on what we actually see in the server.
Can't wait for Vertigo. Nah, there we go. It doesn't get banned instantly. And hey, we're going to go to an Ancient.
Okay, so, I don't between Anubis and Ancient, that's exactly what I said. So
yes.
Shout out me one time.
This absolutely seems to be the case though. Everybody seems to be going to one of Anubis or Ancient. In best of ones, it's basically always going here. In best of threes, I mean, more often than not, we would see the first two maps be the likes of an Anubis or an Ancient, and then that third map kind of change a little bit between potentially Mirage, potentially a Nuke. So this doesn't really surprise me all too much. Ancient, however, coming in, this is a map on which I've seen played brilliantly and woefully over the last few days. And I think a lot of this comes down to the T side. If you don't have a formulated plan on that T side of Ancient, it can be very difficult to get spaced, where a solid CT side can just absolutely break you down.
Yeah, and I'm very worried for Denmark with Ancient. I think especially if they have that T side, I'm very concerned. They had some real struggles on it. Sorry, their core. I keep, the Australia's core had a lot of struggles on Ancient this year in the IESF Pack League, and they loved it last year. I think they did a lot better, but I think a lot of the teams they were playing this year were just really strong Ancient teams, like teams like Guild and the like, and they just weren't able to adapt. So they weren't prioritizing. They never picked into it. They kind of let other teams pick it. Whereas on the other side, when we talk about star players, Zaz has been in insane form this year. She was absolutely lights out the ESL Impact, both online and also on LAN. Like, I think the highest rated player, like absolutely absurd numbers from her. And this is a map where she is just going to be feeling super at home and super comfy. And I think Giuliano has been calling a really good Ancient game when it comes to pick a keeper. So, I look at those two pieces as the most important pieces. And if they're comfortable and they're in their zone, it's going to be really hard for Denmark.
So now that we know the veto, and now that we know where it's heading, where are you leaning? We've got Sweden taking on Denmark. How are you feeling? Where are you going to be? Who's the favorite in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I kind of just spelled it out for you, right? Sweden is 100% the favorite. I think they're the favorite of the whole European competition just because of the individuals that they have. I really believed in this Astralis team, and I thought it was such a cool project when it came together. Obviously, they're making changes now, but the way that Astralis approached their roster last year was to basically they scrapped their previous roster, rebuilt around Aurora as kind of this experienced IGL with a bunch of really young Danish talents. And Marie, Ismo, two of those talents that I think were the best scouted that they found. Ismo is insane player. I really, really rate her, and she's gonna be one that's going to be, I think, throughout the women's circuit over the next 5 years, a very prominent player that's going to keep going from strength to strength. So the idea behind this team is really cool. They weren't able to get the results they wanted, but the individuals are there. So I guess the question to me is, can Ramzan bring out, the promise of these players in a way that Aurora wasn't able to? I'm not sure. Not with such short notice anyway. I don't think so. But, the talent is there. It's just you're going up against such a wealth of experience on the other side. The only way that Astralis can exploit this is with that team play that they should be bringing in, just because they are a team that's been together for so much longer, that core. Whereas for Sweden, you are playing with 3 players that, I don't think this was the Swedish team last year. I think, Jenkin was there, but the other 2 players are different. It wasn't Lena and Sevenlicious. It was Lena and Sevenlicious last time, and now we've got Nia and Msan. So it's a different Sweden, but I still think it's just on paper, the experience they bring is just going to outclass them.
There we go. And I guess the good thing is, even if things go awry and there's a loss here, it's not the end of the world. This is Group C that we're starting in. This includes Sweden, Denmark, Portugal, Norway, Croatia, and Hungary. There is wins there, absolutely, for no matter whoever loses in towards this one. And our understanding is that, similar to the Open tournament, the top 3 teams make it out. They go in towards playoffs. The top 2 goes straight to the upper bracket. The 3rd place team goes in towards that lower bracket. And then, of course, that's where the 6 spots will be decided in that best of 3 format. So there's still plenty of time. Even if you finish 3rd, you make a triumphant lower bracket run, we could still see you at the World Esports Championships in Riyadh. It's not the end of the world, but you'd love to start off your day, get a win here, spiral positively, get the momentum, all of the rest, and then, of course, book yourself in towards the upper bracket, make your life just 10 times easier when it comes to trying to qualify. Because there's a world in which even just picking up 1 best of 3 in that upper bracket could even be enough to book your spot in towards the World Esports Championships.
Though, these best of ones become super important when you mention the teams that are in this group. I think this is the most stacked group because Sweden, Denmark, and Portugal are all teams that I can see qualifying the whole way through. We've already talked a lot about Sweden and Denmark, but Portugal, who I think we're covering a game later on, if you saw it earlier, that's an incredibly stacked team. That's got Zana, Ida, and D7 on that lineup. So an insanely strong team that we'll get to go over later. But for now, we can get into the action as we have Denmark versus Sweden kicking off on Ancient.
It should be sick. This is, yeah, like you said, a pretty stacked group, and a couple of them are pretty stacked as well. So we'll have to see. The T side, Sweden pushing in towards mid, and actually towards Donut. Dink's already come through. First fight goes the way of Zaz. They just barrel in, and it's working.
Yeah, straight through. That's that Zaz aggression on display, not afraid to take the fight to them. Bomb to planted, Ismo and KitKat disconnected. Silver Red is looking to take a bite out of Donut, and Ismo will group up with KitKat, but with a double layering. I think that would be enough. Zaz, though, doesn't peek, just baits her teammate, and it doesn't quite work out, but still, player advantage. Not sure if there's a kit present at all, but if they kill all the players, it might not matter. Doesn't matter anyway. Nia and Msan provide that crossfire. Sweden will get the first round.
Sometimes simplicity is the key, and in that instance, it absolutely was. Flying in towards the fights, Zaz gets an opener, a double opener, in fact, just to give them so much space through Donut. And then, you know, sadly on site, what can you really do? 1v3, they're barreling in onto your position. You cannot really make too much of a dent in that one. So I think Sweden just played the numbers game. It's a very solid T side. They're flying towards the fights, and unfortunately for Denmark, they cannot seem to do really anything in that one. They won't buy here either, so the second one's probably a little bit of a given, is already towards the T side. We're going to see an Astrala stack, a bit of an unorthodox one, but one that I don't really hate. It might not get cleared properly.
Yeah, I like it when it's kind of back in the corner here. I've seen a few different variants of where you can put it along this kind of back line, but Giuliano will see this and she'll go, oh, my Mac 10 would love a piece of that pie. Okay. It's not going to get too costly. Giuliano collects 2. Nia, don't want to go down here. If you lose 3 players, that would really hurt, but she's able to recover. So just lose the 2. I think that was 1 rifle, but not a massive deal. They still take the round. Cool stack, though.
Yeah, exactly. Now, 2-0. Fullback going to come back in, and Denmark now got to find a way to deliver a little bit of form. We've got to see this side play the way that we know they can. They've got the individuals to do so. We know they have the talent on display, and they can't allow Sweden to just continue running over them. At the moment, the buy is a bit of a bonus one over towards Sweden. A couple of investments coming back through, but all in all, AKs and 1 Galil across the board. They got the full flurry of util as well. The first fights, though, go the way of Denmark. That's a great start.
Giuliano will fight one back as they push out middle to try and regain that control. What about Marie? Oh, notice. I think these sort of situations, obviously it's very early on, but this is where I'd expect to see Sweden have the edge. Although I really like this proactivity from Denmark pushing down lane. I think in the mid rounds, that's where Giuliano is really going to be able to do some good work, but she's caught out by Marie. Amsan is ready for the 1 push, but now she's left alone. Bomb is in her hand, so she will get the plant, and she has a full belt of utility. There is a world. In fact, she wants to make it a world with a bit more of an advantage. Moves forward. There's a world where they both come around this corner. First is hers. Can't adjust into the second. I like the idea. Doesn't go for the bomb plant, though. So Denmark will be very happy with that outcome.
Yeah, close but no cigar in that instance. And without that bomb plant that you spoke of, it is actually going to be a bit of an awkward investment or decision, I guess, for Sweden to make it. 2 of your players have more than enough money to invest into. However, the other 3, not so much. So then do you double AK and force around it, or do you half buy and reset for the next? And that's the decision they're going to go for. They're going to half buy here. Not too much of an overinvestment. Few Tech 9s, bits of util, even armor being a bit of a luxury. And in this sort of round, the priority is a bomb plant. But expecting a round might be a little outlandish. Early Molotov towards ramp, and now they might make a move.
The timing of the utility is not clear though, and she's able to get a double. A lot of damage done. KitKat pushes through, not going to allow them to get the bomb down. They just roll down for a moment, but Giuliano gets the second kill. Looking forward to grab herself a rifle, picks up the AK, and the smokes are giving her room to work with. Hearing the reload out long and the spam from short, she has a good idea of where they both are, but with low HP, just trying to catch something on the smoke, but her leg is revealed, and Ramzan will find her. Really nice attempt from Giuliano with that double kill into the 1v2, but not to beat. Denmark will continue.
Honestly, that's not even a terrible round. Like I said, it's lower investment. There's not really a huge amount that we're looking towards in that instance for them to find success. It's about, if they've got a bomb plant, that'll be lovely. Any sort of kills are nice, and they get a few kills. No bomb plant, but all in all, it's not really the end of the world. This is the round that matters most. The gun's coming back out. Does require a couple of glills, but in the right hands, they can be scary. 3 AKs alongside, and the belts of util too. Denmark, 2 in a row for them on relatively scary buys is pretty positive news. KitKat, bit of a tag through the smoke of Giuliano, Jenkin and Zaz all taking damage in all fairness. Makes them vulnerable to the M4's 1 bullet headshot possibility.
He actually spotted Jenkin that close, but a flashbang will certainly give it away. So really good ground gain from Sweden without really having to invest too much. Ismo on top of the box. The double layering is perfect between her and KitKat. It's enough for a kill, but Zaz just sticks around and keeps fighting. Capitalizes on the reload from KitKat to get Ismo, who was stuck still on the box. And running back through, Zaz gets a freebie. Flame spread a little bit further than I think she realized. And Jenkin's space in middle results in a kill. That one back, though, from Anya leaves Rams in a position to deal with the first. All onto Nia. Keeping up. And I like this positioning. Anya can swing off the contact, but not even needed. Ramsen, perfect hold.
And this is now looking super solid for Denmark. I mean, you can see them reading into Sweden quite well. They don't take early cave control because they've got that stack set up in towards the deep excavation area, and they just bait in fights. Yes, Zaz does well in terms of response, but as early information gained, early fight is Denmark taking their favor, and they just start to use the numbers very, very well. Catching rotations, utilizing maybe where Sweden's aggression, which is obviously a big tendency from them that we've seen so far. They're using it against them. So far, so good. Denmark take a lead. Economy broken over towards Sweden. So realistically, it should be a 4th here as well for the Danish side. And Sweden left scratching their heads a little bit. They have a big tendency to fight, which is sometimes a good thing. And of course, it was in the pistol and the force off the back of it. But the gun rounds has been costly.
It's a good little distraction at lane. They have no information. So Anya is going to be, has to be really careful. Incendiary will separate them. And she's only good for the one. The CTs are late on the response, but there's no smoke to block off this angle, so Marie can just fight forward with the FAMAS. Smoke rotates over to support Ramsen as well. This is the way this gets out of hand. Zaz catching one on the leg. Bomb is stuck in temple. Molotov doesn't quite spread, but they do see Jenkin as she has to fire off. He hits a shot with the Deagle as well. This is just upgraded pistols that are brought into this round, not even armor in most of these players. Zaz now has a rifle, the bomb to be planted. Ramsen, can she catch this timing? If she can find Jenkins, she's seen the shadow. This is a big kill, because then they can just focus on sight and donut. Flashbang over, and it's all onto Ramsen. This was just the pistols. Managed to creep forward, but MSAM from behind peeks it out, and Sweden steal one away.
They've been ecoed. I mean, in that round again, another one where even having armor is a bit of a luxury. Sweden, at the very most, the only thing they could probably expect is a bomb plant out of that. But walking away with the round, with upgrades in terms of the guns picked up, and of course, taking it with 2 staying alive just to add insult to injury is such a solid round coming through. Denmark fell a little bit asleep at the wheel, maybe a little bit too confident, and it comes back to bite them. Really, really well done from the Swedish side. They have there's no way they should be winning that at all. I mean, and the way in which they did it as well just shows the confidence of them. No right that they should be walking away with it. As we're tied again, it does put a bit of a dampener back on the other side as Denmark again. Buy isn't exactly pretty. They're forced into a force which requires an MP9 and a FAMAS. Around it just a few upgraded pistols, so it's not pretty.
With how close those 2 previous rounds have come, despite them going the way of Denmark, it's not left them in the best position.
Oh.
That's a nice kill. Liana responds off the boost, but Ramsen has gotten aggressive and catches the player in middle. They're running out of space. That kill would have been everything. Hismo. Beautiful shot with the Desert Eagle. They know that Giuliano was present here.
Surely not. Oh, making a move. Giuliano creeping forward. I think the back spotted. Yeah. Deagle very close. Any body shot here actually should be fine towards Nia. Giuliano's not much better. They're smoked out too. 40 seconds. I don't know where they go here, Lucy.
They go over ledge. Ramson's in the perfect position. Good damage. And there's the kill that she was looking for. Team gets both. That is clean from Ramson. Clinical. That'll be Denmark biting back immediately. Orp even recovered. Wow.
Going from an eco round to a very lackluster force in terms of the firepower that Denmark are bringing to the table there. One FAMAS, one MP9, few pistols. No right again in winning that one, but they do. Slightly overfighting Sweden. They get caught in rotations. Ramsey gets very proactive too, which finds one with the MP9. And before you know it, Denmark have just got the numbers. And with having the numbers, they just group up, play together. It works well for them. Ramsey right at the tail end through Red Room, getting a sumptuous double to see it off. Denmark back to the winning ways. Sweden into a buy, but not a full investment. They got 2 AKs, 2 sort of hero AKs. And aside from that, it's not an over-investment. Still money left in reserves, but winning this would very much be helpful. 3 are going to line up. Surely not 4. Well, the support's there, and it's a massacre towards Ram. Denmark, they're flying right now.
Hey, I'm losing my mind. The M4 A1S sounds whack as hell. Like, what's going on? Why does it sound so... Listen.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's
like
a pea shooter. Like a nail gun.
Why does it sound like that? I thought someone had taken one off or something, like the silencer off, but that's just what it's just been sounding like that this game.
People who take the silencer off as well, that's true insanity. If you pick up an M4 A1S and take the silencer off, because I'm pretty sure like in some of the stats as well, right? I think something along those lines. And also sounds absolutely horrible. Flash does bank and miss ever so slightly. Giuliano still aggro as ever. Takes or delivers the dink, may I say. Kick out to get out of there. The Molotov tickles the toes even further. Anya's lucky to be alive.
One thing about Sweden, you know, even though they're on the deficit now, they've been able to get mid pretty freely when they want it. It's not really been the point of contention for Denmark. They've been a lot more focused on B in particular. Which granted has been working out for them quite well. This round they will fall off after the initial engagement and get a little curious in mid. Doesn't work out though for Anya. And that looks like it's going to set up a split onto the A bomb site. Gets a little bit scary, but there are 2 players present.
Okay. 2 rounds, the difference, and such an important one for Sweden. 2 kills in quick succession. The AWP does miss, but Ramsden's still set up looking for more. The spray down is good. Can she double down? She can, and the AWP will see it off. What a hold towards A. Ramsden from Temple does God's work, and up close and personal, front donut. Denmark guaranteeing at the bare minimum a tied game. But honestly, Lucy, the way they're playing right now, I would be so surprised if they don't take a lead heading into towards that second half.
Yeah, I apologize, Denmark. I wasn't familiar with your game, but this is some really great Counter-Strike. And I think one thing that I'm particularly noticing is Ramsden's role. So in most of the teams she plays in, she plays a very systems-based AWP and often isn't kind of the point woman or, you know, the kind of main star of the team. But it feels like she's getting a lot more active in this game than we would normally see from her. And I imagine part of that is just because of the team composition. She has the freedom to do what she wishes. Flash over, Kit Kat in the corner. That one's easy as she likes, but Zaz runs her down, so that's an upgraded weapon. Meanwhile, Ismo fights down ramp, doesn't quite spot or find the player. A little bit of damage. There's Ramsden. Another kill for her. Ismo does eventually collect. And I think you might be right there. We could be looking at a 7th right here, right now.
It looks like the case. I mean, this would require something pretty special for Sweden to turn this back on its head. 2 upgraded pistols, a Deagle and a Tech 9. In all fairness, I can respect the Tech 9. They're pretty scary. Molotov, they'll spot the shadow here. Actually, perfectly timed to bomb. You got to go through that, and it's just a treacherous territory. Only the 1 casualty, already up to 7. Denmark, actually, for the most part, are making this look pretty comfortable because there was earlier in the game where something you brought up, Denmark was still winning rounds, but it was costly, right? It was they were losing a lot of bodies, at least kind of 3 casualties per round, so it kept their economy in check. Now that's not the case anymore. Denmark going in these rounds and they're winning them pretty cleanly too. So they're building up such stability in the long-term economy. They're looking clean in the rounds themselves. Sweden, I wouldn't mind seeing attack pause out of them sometime sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I haven't really seen those pauses. And on one side, actually, worth noting, Denmark's coach is I believe, when I was looking at it, it's the coach of the Australia's women's team. So again, a coach that's very familiar with the squad. Gives them a little tactical edge. Get a 1-for-1 engagement. Ismo just takes the initiative to push down ramps. She's going to get the information and the kill. It means they can more heavily reinforce this side of the map. And you got to get past Ramsden if you want to get through Donut. An expensive cost. Yankin falls, and there's 3 players now staring down this scope. And she's staring straight into them. Another for Ramsden. Even manages to get away somehow, but can't get that shot. So she is punished, is hitting the deck and the bomb to be planted.
What do we got? Bit of a spam through the smoke to no avail. Is this push from main that feels like the one that could deliver? Gets one for free. And backside, they've got to know. Head spotted surely now. Giuliano, she's surely dead on arrival. 3 barreling into his position. She's got to hide in the smoke. Hang on.
Oh,
hang on. I don't hate this. This could actually work. She could slip the net. Like ships in the night, they just go past each other, but it's like a deer in headlights. Didn't know where to look. Too many angles, too many positions, and just couldn't deliver on it. Denmark see off the defuse. Again, though, maybe a little bit closer than Denmark would have liked, but already at such a wealth of a lead heading into the final round of the half.
Yeah, I like the idea from Giuliano. But what I liked most about that round, obviously Ramsden's hitting all those shots, but while that's taking place and she's looking down the one angle that they're coming from, Anya moves into A main. So that's kind of got twofold. A, it's set up for exactly what we saw, where she's able then to attack them from a different situation in the post plan. But the main thing is, if there had been a split, she would have dealt with part of it as well. So these sort of mid-round decisions in the intense moments, Denmark definitely making the right moves when they need to. And that's really impressive for, again, we're talking national teams that, yes, we do have that core that has been together for some time and has the coach supporting them in that, but still a lot of details to work out. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from Denmark as they have a look in lane, see at least one player towards Cave and a push out through the smoke. 1-for-1. Marie looking to get the kill back into the advantage of Denmark, and she finds that one with ease. This round going to hinge on Zaz. Whether she can catch Kit Kat, who's been loud about her approach in red.
It's a good angle here for Zaz. Might catch one for free. I say that. Yeah, the trade that's come through. He's at the cost of the teammates. M-Son of 4. Ramsden right idea as well. Smoke blocks the view. Don't peek behind it. This is good work, but Ramsden might make a move of her own. There's a pretty sizable gap here in all fairness.
She gonna push through this? That would be crazy. But this smoke has done exactly what Zaz wanted it to do, which is to completely bamboozle Denmark and make it seem like the A split is going to be taking place. But instead, Giuliano took all the space in through Cave, can plant the bomb, then Zaz can join up with her. Oh, the bomb actually didn't get planted, and the incendiary, luckily for Sweden, doesn't go deep enough to disrupt. So they do get it down. Giuliano feels very uncomfortable, stuck behind default. That smoke giving her something to work with, but this scope from Ramsden is locking her out, making it so that she can't escape this position. And they know where Zaz is because she keeps throwing utility. So they just need to isolate the fights, but Giuliano is stuck in the corner. And that's not where you want to put her. She's able to fight forward Ramsden in an impossible clutch, so Sweden will claw one back at the end, but it's still an 8-4 half for Denmark.
Honestly, fair play. This is a pretty solid showing from Denmark. And the thing that worries me as well is, for Sweden, is that enough foundations built up in this first half to give them space in towards a second? Well, without a pistol, I don't think so. If Denmark found the pistol, we could very easily see them get all the way up to basically 10-4. And at that point, it might even be too little too late. All it takes is a few more blunders, a few more errors, which seem to be a little bit prone at the moment for Sweden. And we could be looking at Denmark stealing away this best of one in arguably an upset sort of fashion. This is last year's finalists, and they're not playing like it at the moment, Sweden. They are really struggling to get things over the line. This pistol is of the utmost importance for Sweden. And they're quad stacking here towards B, which honestly, I don't hate. It's not a bad call.
Boost from Kit Kat. I don't think that was intentional. Yeah, I don't think Sweden are necessarily playing poorly, but Denmark are just playing really, really well. Coordination on point and the execute looking clean. Nice counter smoke forward. They're just going to have to run through it in the stack. As you mentioned, all these players lying in wait, and it's too many bodies. The T's can't deal with them. Sweden take the gamble to stack B, and it works out perfectly.
Okay, fair enough. What a call. There's no two ways about it. A complete stack coming through, and it works perfectly. There's just too many places to look, and you can just see how in that instance, Denmark just get completely overwhelmed. There's way too many people shooting them from all over the site, and the crossfires are pretty immaculate. The smokes make absolutely no difference. Sweden take a much-needed pistol, and now we can talk about them starting to roll with the punches positively on the CT side. They should get a 6th here for free, makes it a 2-round game, and it makes these gun rounds all the more important. This next buy that comes through for Denmark, when they come back on towards a T-side investment, pretty important. The bonus buy gets converted. Sweden could run away with things. Zaz going to get a 2nd with a smoke as well, but a fortune favors her.
Something I know about Zaz is she loves to get aggressive in lane. So don't be surprised to see her charging them down. And she really wants these eco kills. Gets one of them. Crossfire successful for a single frag. Dude, what is with the M4A1 else? Why does it sound like this?
I know.
It's wigging me out.
It is like a nail gun. It's
yeah, it really is.
Either way, it's the MP9 that sees it off.
The MP9 sounds more like a rifle.
Yeah, it's got a bit of to it, hasn't it? I mean, I guess technically that's what a silencer does in a way, but it's also like just wrong. It just doesn't sound right at all. I feel like I'm playing kind of Call of Duty or Battlefield or something. We're a 2-round game, Lucy, while we're losing our mind a little bit. It's 8-6 currently, and this first gun round, again, on the other side, is pretty important for Denmark. They had such a great first half. They looked very comfortable, but however, you lose this one, and Sweden probably tie this game right back up, and that could actually start to spiral in a real bad way for them. Could maybe even be the beginning of the end as they just lose all the momentum out the window.
I'm surprised to see Sweden invest 4 MP9s into the round previous. It means this one is actually quite tough against all these rifles. His angle perfect though for spotting players in A main. They're just going to push through it. They're going to extinguish the smoke and they're going to burst through. That flashbang is perfection, and Marie capitalizes with 2 quick headshots. Zaz will arrive and she gets a double back, but Marie, again Marie. 3-on-2. Yankin known has to fall back. There's this late lurk, and that could just be the end of it all. Ismo catches the perfect timing. Yankin doesn't spot her. She's just going to walk around the back. Oh, Ismo's going to lock this round in, or is she? Yankin able to get the kill. That timing, it looked like it was going to be terrible for her, but it worked out to perfection. And Emsan, she spot her? Has now. Yankin still under pressure, and they managed to get her, and they know where Emsan was, and she is so low. Has to rotate to B, has to make that gamble. Or she can fight up over ledge, a bit more damage, but now they know they've got a free berth to B. Unless the MP9 can beat them there. Oh my god. Around the corner, the HE forward, and it has to be Marie. She has a HE of her own. If she throws that, it's a free kill. But I don't think they know how low Emsan is. So bomb planted already, something to work with. And Marie, fighting long range, gets the kill. A massive round from her, 4 in it. And Denmark get their first round on the T side.
Oh, they were made to work for it, though. My God, the fact that it even came down to a 1 versus 1, considering how many MP9s were in play. And it started so well for Denmark, too, right? You know, they pot flash it. It's a beautiful pot flash, and they just get a sumptuous double. I mean, it's beautiful work, but then it collapses quickly. Zaz's double brings them back into play, and they just continuously get caught, isolated. Denmark are a little fortunate. Marie does very, very well. Like you said, quad kill to her name. Denmark find a much-needed gun round. It was expensive, however, so it's required them to, obviously, 4 of them reinvest back in, which means 3 Galils to play. One thing on my screen that I don't often see, though, is a Nova. And it's something in towards Cave I can get behind here, Lucy. This is based.
You've never seen the Nova AWP double setup in Cave before? It's a standard one in my Faceit games.
It's the dream team right here.
Yeah. Well, the Nova in Caves isn't too bad. Personally, I think the Mag 7 might be a little bit more effective in this position, but...
I'm an XM kind of guy.
Price-wise, the Nova has all the other shotguns beat.
Oh,
And there we go. You get to see why it's so good, but it takes a long time to take that second shot. So KitKat very easily able to trade. But again, the shotgun going 1-for-1, that's kind of all you want from it.
it's true. The kill bonus is pretty substantial on the shotgun. So honestly, really not that bad. KitKat, keep holding, and you probably get gifted one. Oh, the timing is good. My God, she was turning between throwing the smoke and holding shelf, and I honestly thought there's a turn in which she gets caught. Full blind, Juliana delivers with the AWP, but the B9 gets so close, but the nade will see it off.
Yeah, that one could have gone either way. A lot of damage, Giuliano. Now that is damage. Through the smoke, just takes a pot shot and doesn't even hit the planter. That was another player sitting further back in the covey. And Anya's incredibly low. There is a kit on Nia. This one certainly on, especially with Giuliano hitting every damn shot. Ramsen tries to get one back, but the spray goes wild, and Sweden will get their 7th.
Man, what a couple of shots coming through for the AWP. That is crisp as hell. Giuliano, what a round coming out from her. And Sweden, much needed to. They force bought back in. It wasn't the best of force buys as well, considering, you know, like we said, it had an MP9, it had an Nova, but it's the AWP that does all the damage. How's the lineup? How's the shots and some quick flicks that deliver?
And smoked. Both
Ridiculous.
those first 2 kills, insane.
That's instincts right there, and Sweden needed them. And for Denmark, yes, they get a bomb plant, but it's just not enough to suffice, right? And look where we are. It's a 2-round difference, but no buy coming out from Denmark. Sweden should get in towards this sort of reaching distance of 8 rounds, make it a 1-round game, and onto the competitive one, that's what we've got. In towards mid. 1-for-1 trade isn't bad for the Tech-9s.
Marie gets herself a FAMAS, and Giuliano's AWP, ooh, can get overwhelmed. She has the support though. Nia slips in with a double. So this one doesn't get out of hand. Ramsen just has a Glock, so going to be a difficult one for her to put together. Another kill would be nice, but there's no way she gets past Zaz. Oh, okay. Well, there is a way, and it's called hitting the headshot. And she jumps over the AWP. That's surely all the damage that Ramsen can cause. Yeah, okay.
Whoa. Close, but in the end, it is still that 1-round game. A little bit more expensive than maybe Sweden would have wanted, but in the end, all they care about is to take the round and do get into that reach and distance. Now Denmark, this buy absolutely needs to go forward if they want to continue seeing some success. You know, they're 8-4 at the half. They had a nice little buffer, but only had 1 round since then where Sweden hot on their tails. Back into the AKs, full belt to util, all of the rest. But actually a little bit more of a conclusive buyout for Sweden in this one. They had FAMASs in the last. This time it's rifles and the AWP across the board. Jenkins gets chunked by the nade there. It's perfectly placed. She starts the round out of 52 points of HP.
That's not well, I'll talk about it in a second. Zaz swinging, and it's a miss. Ismo able to get that one off the aggressive play. This double setup in middle. Spotted out. KitKat looking to repeat her kill from the previous round. Cool flash, though. Will allow that jump up. Marie needs to slip in and get the trade, and it's almost terrible timing for her. A second flash for another swing almost catches the wrong player. She's still able to finish the job. She spotted her just before she was blind. So a player lead, but not for long. Emsan gets hers. Yankin as well. Marie and Ramsen to put it back together. Good damage, but not the kill. And another flashbang. They're relentless with these flashes. Giuliano is hungry for another kill. She is hunting for it. We're just jump peeking. You don't know if you want to give Marie too many chances to hit the headshot. Definitely more than capable of doing it. But this play in mid is given a lot of space on B that Ramsen almost got without needing to work too hard for it, but just spotted at the tail end. We need a perfect shot onto Emsan. Not going to be the case. Marie, she put up a 4K earlier. Definitely a chance she can repeat it here, but first step, past the AWP. Runs it fast. And a half-fast headshot onto the follow-up. It's another from Marie. A 1 versus 3. But Yankin just walks forward slowly, silently, and Marie has to reload. Yankin's going to catch that timing. It's perfect. She was so low. There was a real well, but Marie needed the bullets, and Yankin will get the defuse.
Honestly, Yankin's played that really well. You're not going to expect already to completely disregard the possibility of a tap and peek or anything of the sort. That's really well played, but another uber close round, but it still goes the way of Sweden, which for them is fundamentally all they care about. They've now tied this game up. Denmark are getting bomb plants, but it's not enough again to suffice buys coming through because how expensive the rounds prior have been. So 9-all, and Sweden, they're on track to taking this win. It feels like now they've completely got a grasp of momentum. All the wins in their sails. Denmark have only had one round of 6 since the halfway point, and they are struggling, but they're barreling in towards B, and they might actually get a bit of space. I say that. M4s are here. Zaz for the first, Emma for 2.
No bomb plant. Oh,
Ooh.
No bomb plant.
Okay.
No bomb plant. Okay, they lose 2. Sweden on double digits. They take the lead. I think basically the first time since we kicked it off. One thing I wanted to bring up earlier, because I don't know if we get another chance, was there was a smoke in middle 2 rounds ago, which was really cool. It's the one that Device first showcased earlier this year, where it's an insta out of spawn that lands kind of in middle, but it lands like a bit out from the wall. I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, it lands in middle. Basically, it extinguishes the CT molly, but it gives you space to continue scaling through middle, so it doesn't block you off. And it's one that basically was invented and showcased by Device. So it's really cool to see this Australis, women's core utilizing that same piece of util to get that mid control 2 rounds prior. I just wanted to bring it up because I noticed it and I needed to geek out about it.
No, I respect it. It gives you more space than tradition. I mean, there's 2 ways that most teams play it. Well, actually, technically 3. One of which is just not play mid, which did see a little bit in that first half. We were talking about how kind of Sweden got so much free real estate in mid as Denmark were kind of happy to give it up. Another way that teams seem to play it these days is, I hate the term, but people call it edging the smoke. You know what I mean, right? Where it's like the Molotov and smoke
can you
combined.
tell me what edging is?
No, I think I'll pass. Thank you very much. But they call it where you edge on the Molotov and the smoke, and it's kind of broken. Apparently, Valve want it as a game mechanic. It feels a little busted. That way is better. I think it gives you a lot more coverage and space. Ramsden's first is huge. Zaz will respond, and a double spray down with the AK. Hang on a second. Denmark aren't done just yet.
The teaser able to respond to that, but Giuliano, she's responding in her own way. How does she keep getting away with it? Anytime she's in a position where you think she's only good for one, she gets them all. But look who it is. It's another 1v1, and it's 2 familiar faces in it. Marie against Yankin, and I think they should have an idea of where Yankin was. The jiggle, perfect. Marie's headshot, even better. Despite Giuliano's best efforts, Marie gets her clutch.
2 rounds have come down to her individually, but Giuliano dug deep in that one to somehow make it out of something. I cannot believe even get a chance there. This second shot has so little to work with. It's just crazy. Down to the wire. But a great swing, and actually a great little adjustment there too, over towards Shelf. 10-10. No money for Sweden, so they just have to sit tight and let this one go. They're going to gamble stack once again over towards B. Last time was a little bit expensive, but they weren't able to win it. This time they want to change their fate, especially with a few 5-7s. I can maybe get behind it. Flash over, it doesn't do anything. It blinds more CTs than Ts, in all fairness, but they somehow go 1 for 1.
Yeah, the Molotov did a good job, though. That made it really difficult for them to push down. So this should all be cleaned up pretty easily. Yes, there it is. Nice little tap from Anya to close it out. So Denmark wrestle back the lead. Tell you what, Naya, I knew this was going to be a good game, but this has been a real nail-biter. Very much enjoying the Counter-Strike both teams are bringing forward.
Yeah, and I think there's another thing that, we both spoke about coming into this game where they just know each other so well. So they're starting to figure out the tendencies. I'm getting a good feeling that there might even be a little bit more required in this one, potentially even the OT. These 2 sides feel inseparable. It's taken a while, in all fairness, for Denmark's T sides to get going. For a long period of the second half, Sweden were in complete control, but these rounds they've been taking the last few are good. The clutch is solid. That one making it pretty clean as well is what matters most. 2 rounds away now, Denmark. But Sweden only 1 away from tying it up once again. They do have a bye. It does require an MP9 out from MSAN. And the one thing that worries me in this one, Lucy, is just the lack of util for Sweden. If they're required to do a retake, they might really struggle.
They do have Giuliano's up. That's the big one. But you're right. That's the second last piece of util. There's a single flash left. That's all they're working with. The hands of Zaz. Denmark look to finish B. They haven't shown themselves anywhere on the map right now. So Sweden are working in the dark, which means that they're running a 2-3 setup. Juliana actually gets a little bit worried. That time on the rotate, she was almost out of there. But the smokes bring her back. Now, there isn't a commitment behind it. She thinks it's a fake. She wants to get ahead of this, wants to go back towards red to support. And if Denmark go for this hit now, the timing is absolutely perfect. This could be the play that completely breaks Sweden.
And yep, going to be sent out. Pop flash over. Around this corner, nobody's here. Out and towards the site, doesn't spot anything. Got to expect somebody in towards Cave. In the open, the fight goes well for the T side as Denmark gets space. Bomb going to go down. Zaz will respond well. But with the bomb planted, surely this postpon's got some legs behind it. The swing is very good from Zaz for a second.
Zaz fighting forward is everything. That she wins out that fight in Cave, sets the team up for a chance in this round, and the Flames are perfect to allow Nia to get hers onto Kit Kat. Bong gets tapped, but it's not the commitment. Oh, they have a molly for the post plant. It looked like they were going to throw it. The bomb's being defused. It's not planted for them. Zaz is just going to defuse it right out in front of them. Bit of a mistake in the planting position there, or maybe just the intention not conveyed to the squad, but that one should have been Denmark's. It would have been Denmark's, but Zaz with a massive double and then sticking the defuse. They can't do anything but watch on in horror.
It's a bad blunder, isn't it? That really is a bad blunder from Denmark. I'm not sure if second time round they hear the tap, or if they did, heard it too late. They're swinging on towards the site with, it was like 1.4 seconds, even getting on towards the site, don't have enough time. That's tough.
They to throw that molly in, I think it would have been enough.
Yeah, they set up for it and then cancelled. I don't know why they cancelled. So that takes a lot of damage going through the Flames, but at least he is there to fight for shelf control. And a pop flash over from the teammate as well might put Kit Kat 6 feet under. She falls off the ledge and she finds the kill. I can't believe she got away with that.
Yeah, there's that aggression from Zaz down lane. I've been fairly composed for the most part, sticking to her lane and Jaguar, but this time she wants to really take the fight to them. And there's that ult from Juliana. Great flick shot. Mzan tries to get another. Gizmo at least get a kill back, but now they're smoked off. They have no control. And that's going to allow Sweden to have all of the information. They can move players around as they like. And this Astralis core, we'll have to try and work it out together to bring this back for Denmark.
And yep. Molotov shadow betrayed as it always does. 45 seconds. Bomb in this direction of A. I'm assuming that's where they're going to want to finish it. It's a tough one to get out to because the AWP is holding. You know what Juliana's like with it. Zaz got a bit of an inkling about holding elbow too. At least for now, it's just good coverage through mid. And a very quick rotate too if needed. Juliano. Flash comes over. Shadow spotted. A pop shot doesn't connect, however. Second time Avarsky might get a chance, and they somehow thread the needle there. Famas only going 1-for-1 is not enough, and a Molotov will force Juliano back, but trying to plant without clearing Donor. Zaz is here. 1-for-1 is probably enough, because the time is down to 10 seconds.
He's going to stick this. Yeah, using that smoke gives her something to work with. Juliano misses the chance. Ilzamo given one, but only for a moment. Yanking will catch out another round for this team. And this one's the big one. Takes them to 12. It's going to be your series point. That bomb plant does give Denmark a little bit of extra cash going into this final round, but they're going to be working with pennies. Although one player surviving is not that much better for Sweden, but certainly at least they'll have that AWP, which in the hands of Juliano has been relentless.
What a game we've been gifted at the start of the day. It's pretty insane, and I hope this is a tale of things to come throughout all the best of ones. We said this one was a bit of a rivalry, and at a 12-11 scoreline, we come obviously in towards this final round of regulation with a buyout for Denmark, but it's just not a pretty one. Mac 10, Galil coming out. It's not the worst thing in the world, but Marie's been so solid. Maybe even a conversation to say, hey, give her over the AK-47. Maybe Anya be a little bit more of a supporting role in this case with the Utah and the rest. But Sweden have done well to get back into this. They were 8-4 down at the half. And since then, they've been in control where Denmark have really struggled to chain T-side rounds together. They find these moments of brilliance, but they aren't able to make it a consistent factor. And that's the big thing. Swing isn't good. Giuliano finds one for free. Already down to 4. This could be the beginning of the end. He's trying to get out of there, but the rifle goes forward. That is such a big call.
Doesn't quite work out. It's a 1-for-1, and meanwhile, there's the fight through from mid, which finds success. So we're back into a 3-on-3 after Sweden got an opening kill without needing to really put a lot of effort into it. They want to fight Ransom. Want to flush her out. Good duck, but she's in danger. She's actually called over support from the team. The Yorp just spamming, and yeah, punished for it. They thought that one was free, but Ramza just tucks her head and stays alive, and that is everything. M10 swings, big kill back, a 2-on-2, and a double up in the cave. Marie just trying to get the bomb down. No, taps it, baiting out the spam. Now she is going to commit. Nia walking forward, and it's all onto Marie. And again, another clutch required if we want to go to overtime. And she's being pincered from 2 different directions, but M10's low. If she can find this one, there's a chance. Barely any health, 5 HP. Nia puts the smoke on, taps it. She has the kit, so she could commit a flashbang forward. She's not sticking it. And with such little HP, Marie just can't afford to swing out. She has to hope that this isn't going to be it. But yeah, it's going to be a stick through. There was nothing Marie could do. The flames kept her at bay, and the clutch is denied. Sweden will take our opening best of 1.
My God, what a game. What a game we've been gifted to start the day. It could not have been any better. We had the clutches, we had the individuals shining, the AWPs rattling off on both sides. That's how we want to start it. Going the full distance, getting the best of both. But what a recovery, I think, is the main storyline for me out from Sweden. That first half, it was pretty woeful. They really couldn't get anything going. They looked so disjointed. They weren't playing off each other. They were struggling. The second half was marvelous. When they were on toward that CT side, the synergy and cohesion was brilliant, and Denmark couldn't find a way to break that down. And I think it helps when your AWPer becomes unstoppable as well, in all fairness. When hitting shots, getting 2 more or less every single round for free, ridiculous. A couple of really nice clutches out from Marie, but that was impressive. I'm really, really impressed with Sweden. And if this is a sign of things to come, maybe we should just expect them to already be back in towards the World Esports Championships.
Yeah, I feel like 80% of those rounds in the second half were 1vx's. Like it was always a clutch. It felt like it came down to. But I think that the big difference in between the 2 teams, I think Denmark looked more cohesive as a unit, but the X factor from Sweden was undeniable. And I guess that was always going to be. That's kind of how we painted this matchup coming into it. So, we really saw some great stuff from Denmark. I think it was their game, really, but they just couldn't get past that X factor. It was Giuliano stepping up with those insane moments, and not just her as well. Yenka won, I think, 3 1v1s, 100%, maybe 3, definitely 2 1v1s, and yeah, there was just so many moments that Sweden were able to make out of nothing that were able to get them over the line. But Denmark, brilliant Counter-Strike from them, and I think a really strong contender in this tournament.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it as well, you're spot on. But when you have those individuals who can shine at that, you can just rely on them every single time. Where for me, for Denmark, it was the cohesion was there. They played each other well, and they were getting great space on towards the sites. But if someone's going to turn off, get 3 kills, and just completely deny you with a monster spray down or a couple of quick AWP shots. I mean, even a bit of fortune as well, we have to be perfectly honest. I mean, Giuliano 1 round got 3 kills, and all 3 of them were either blind or through a smoke. So kind of, just a bit of fortune, but you take them all the same. It's part of the game, and it's the way it was. I think for Denmark, to learn from this sort of game, they've just got to look at how to clean up that T side a little bit. Because there was so many opportunities and so many chances where it came down to either them losing a clutch, you spoke of Jenkin, for example, or when they were winning, but, Maria had to get a 4K in one of them, for example, or a 3K in the other. You can't rely on those situations. They're not replicable. They're not something you can continue doing every single round. And obviously, when it comes out to clutches, at times, they can be a bit of a coin flip too. So for Denmark, I think cleaning up the post plant is probably the big thing I would look towards in making this side a little bit stronger on towards Ancient. But you can't really take too much away from them. They were really good 85% of the way throughout that game. It was just a few little mistakes that ended up being so costly, and that's what happens in a 13-11 game.
Yeah, and I think the Sweden CT side, the aggression they showed was really cool. We kind of expected to see it from Zaz in K, but there was a lot of different variations. There was kind of a lot of pushes up over ledge, which had mixed success, but it was always something that caught them off. There was a round where they had 2 players push up and fight into teams that had already got Jaguar. There were so many different variations, and late game we saw, I think, like multiple rounds in a row where Giuliano is posting up down ramp looking for fights, almost cost them the game at the very end. But it was cool to see them not afraid to try these different variations to the CT side, and it was an interesting ancient game because it felt like mid wasn't a central focus of either team on either of their halves. It was really about B more than anything, and I mean that's not not always unusual, but it was definitely the case in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We have got plenty more Counter-Strike action for you. So we're going to throw us one to a break. When we are back, we are right back into it. Best of ones all day. Sit tight. See you soon.